What is going on, everybody? We are back once again with another edition of Wrestling Republic's daily broadcast. I'm Clark Taylor. It is Monday, April the 29th. We got Monday Night Raw coming up today, but you all know what Mondays on the daily means. It's Mailbag Monday. We got a letter, in the words of Steve from Blues Clues. We got a letter. Let's see who it's from. We've also got two of my absolute favorites riding with me today. I'm stoked about it. I'm going to send this first up north of the border here to Regina, Canada. Our head of reviewing, Coby Galenzoski. How have you been today, Cob?
Doing pretty good. I'm here. My semester's over for university. I'm here to enjoy wrestling for the next 4 months straight. I'm enjoyable. We got the draft tonight, and it's only the beginning. Of course, I'm here for Mailbag Monday, one of my creations as a part of this daily broadcast, and it's a pleasure to always be a part of it.
Absolutely. Good to have you for sure. We've also got joining us once again today, and I am fired up about this, my favorite journalism student at Syracuse, Josh Markowitz. How are you doing, Josh?
What's up, Clark? I'm doing great. I'm in the same kind of boat as Coby here, finishing up high school here, and then I'll be going to Syracuse, like you said. But I'm looking forward to enjoying the next 4 months of just wrestling, sitting back, of course, podcasting. But it's gonna be great. But yeah, Mailbag Monday. Shout out Coby for helping with the design of it. But always love a good Mailbag Monday. So I'm ready to dig in the mailbox. Let's do it.
Absolutely. Me as well. We've got a bunch of comments over here on Instagram already. DMS0917 is laughing. He's had the title less than a month. Don't spoil the first question. It's not even the first topic yet. Sick Vicious gave us 3 of these. Absolutely right back at you. Tribalism Chief calling for my firing. Good luck with that, buddy. Sick Vicious 1989 said only correct answer is Gunther. Anyone else is just incorrect. I kind of like that answer. TL.3118 says I agree with Gunther. Well, with that, though, and also in the comments, actually, David Modge, good friend of the show, said AJ Styles could very well take Cody's title. I don't necessarily know about that. It's a little early, but with that, let's get into our first topic and our first question. This one is from .D_T_0.1. I like that. A lot of decimals and underscores. Who do you think Cody should lose the title to? This is an interesting question. We've heard from the comments section already. Gunther, we've heard Styles. We've heard a couple of names here. I'm going to ask you first, Coby. Who do you have on your list? Give me a short list if you have to, too. Up to 3, not a long list. But if you've got more than one name, don't hesitate to name names.
Well, I mean, if it's more than 3 names, of course it's not a short list anymore. But I think the biggest thing is we don't expect him to lose this title anytime soon. At least I don't. We know it's pretty much all except it's all except in writing and advertised that we're probably going to get a Cody versus Rock match. That's probably going to be for the title. I assume Cody should have at least one more Roman Reigns match because Roman Reigns isn't done yet. I don't think he should lose to any of these stars, though. I don't know when it's going to happen, but I think the only one that logically makes the most sense is Seth Rollins.
Ooh.
Seth Rollins is the guy who played one of the most integral roles in Cody Rhodes finishing his story. He's not going to be face forever. And we can sit here and acknowledge that. And I think that's, yes, Cody's going to have further things to do, whether that is the Rock feud first, if it's a Roman Reigns match, it's say something like next year's SummerSlam, maybe that happens. I don't know when a lot of these are going to happen, but I'm expecting a longer title reign. But I think Seth Rollins is the guy because he's, like he said in the story, I'm the guy, I'm the shield that he needs. Yeah. He came out in the shield gear. He's the reason why Roman Reigns' impulses were to hit him instead of Cody Rhodes. Seth Rollins has that power, and I think that's the story they're going to tell is you are champion because I chose you were champion. Or you were the one to dethrone Roman Reigns because I am choosing that. And I think that's going to be the route they go. I think it's going to be a lot of just chugging along. Like we're going to need stories that genuinely make me believe the challenger can dethrone him. And I don't know when we're going to get that. It's not AJ Styles. And I assume we're going to get a Randy Orton sometime this year.
Well, so I was just about to add over in the comments, most hated woe said Randy Orton, and then TL.3118 added Solo would be an interesting twist too. Two interesting calls, and then Sick Vicious doubled down on Cody versus Gunther, and then strong emojis. But I do
I mean, I'd love it, but I don't know if they're going to put the world title on Gunther.
Right.
I think they'd put the world heavyweight, not the WWE.
Yes, I agree with that, Coby.
I think that's the direction.
But I do love your Seth Rollins call. Seth Rollins makes a heck of a lot of sense. It adds up. Also, avenging multiple losses to Cody. There's a story to be told there. It's really good. The Break It Down show added Braun Breaker. My God, would he make a great heel champ? Yes, he would.
That must be Ben's burner account.
Not a bad call. And then Coach 23, good friend of the show, added Rock, Roman, and possibly Gunther. And then he said, unless you have a well-built up and comer like a Braun or Carmelo Hayes. But yeah, I agree with Cody, Seth. Yeah, I like that. Josh, got to toss this one to you. Yeah. Give me your short list if you've got one, or give me one name, whatever you got here. Who's it going to be to dethrone Cody in the long run?
Yeah, there's many directions they can go with this, and just to quickly pick up a point that Coby made. It's going to be hard for them to make stories that we believe Cody could lose, and I saw that as maybe not an issue, but a trend in Roman's reign. Like many matches, every pay-per-view, I never really believed he was going to lose. But he was also, deemed as like the greatest wrestler of all time at one point. And I don't think Cody's there yet. So I do think they'll have an easier time making it believable. But at the same time, you look at the mountain that Cody had to climb to get to the championship. So it's like, realistically, does he really just lose this belt a couple months in? I don't think so. And there's a lot of stories that they could pick up on. They could continue, of course, with The Rock, which was pretty much advertised in the Raw after Mania. Who knows? Roman, maybe. Solo Sikoa, like someone mentioned. Seth Rollins, of course, is a great name. But in my opinion, we've seen a lot of the same stuff. We've seen Cody versus Bloodline for almost a year. We saw Cody versus Seth for a few months. So personally, I don't know how long Cody's going to hold it. I think it's going to be around a year, maybe over, maybe a little bit less. But I'm ready for them to start a whole new story with Cody. In my opinion, is the ring general Gunther, the longest reigning intercontinental champion in history, perhaps the most dominant superstar on the roster right now. I mean, after about a year of Cody's reign, and after defeating The Rock at WrestleMania 41, this is the way I see it going. Cody, The Rock, Mania 41. The next night, Raw after Mania, Gunther challenges Cody. And whenever that match happens, I feel like he could or should win. Gunther, he's a great heel. We know he has excellent mic work in the ring. I mean, probably the best in-ring wrestler in WWE, if not in the entire industry, perhaps. And I feel like Gunther just carried the mid-card. He really did. He had an unbelievable reign. And I think him dropping the belt at WrestleMania is a real sign that he's moving up, and Triple H has given him that extra push to the main card and to the main event. So I think it's time for him to step up and join the stars in the main event picture. I think, I do kind of agree with the World Heavyweight Championship, Gunther, not Universal Championship. But I'm kind of done with this whole Cody bloodline. I'm kind of done with Cody Seth. I feel like he's ready to go. I feel like Gunther is the right guy to defeat Cody for the belt when the time comes.
Got to unmute yourself, Clark.
I think you're muted, Clark.
I'm muted, but I have no issue with that. I totally do agree with you. Gunther is a great call. Seth is a great call from Coby as well. I think we have a sweet list here. Henderson.Robert TJERIL to Gerald, I'm not sure. Said Gunther Cody once said he was a little nervous facing him. I like that. Gunther makes sense from that perspective. Sick Vicious 1989 added Cody versus Gunther is the modern day Rocky. Gunther is the top legitimate foreign heel. And with what he did with the IC belt, there's nothing they wouldn't trust him with. That's a very good point. And then Sick Vicious 1989 also added, this guy gets it about you, Josh Markowitz. Dude, youngest guy on the WR podcast roster. I couldn't agree more. The kid is a star in the making.
Appreciate
And
it.
that's no knock on Coby either. Coby's got the stuff going. If you read the reviews, you know he's the best in the game at that.
Oh yeah.
Got to put my co-hosts over, guys. We've also got Sick Vicious with Gunther made the IC title belt the legitimate second best belt in the company. I hear that. And then Jamie 2001 added CM Punk. That would be some CM Funk. That would be some CM Funk into the equation there. Punk and Cody. I don't hate it. Don't hate it. We've also got the Break It Down show over here on YouTube with Cody needs to lose the title early, then earn the title back by SummerSlam and get attacked for the title by a returner leading to a SummerSlam match. Ooh, that'd be interesting. A little hot potato. We haven't seen that in a long time, given we've seen a lot of long reigns.
I think it's tough. We're getting a lot of new era, and Cody Rhodes is the face of the new era. It's a lot of projecting that we're not gonna get a short reign.
Absolutely,
and
absolutely.
That Cody Rhodes is having a massive role in the company.
Absolutely.
And I think the fact that he's a babyface champion is what's going to hurt him.
For sure.
There's a reason why we're not fantasy booking Sami, who's defeating Sami Zayn.
Right.
Because we all want him to have a long reign. And because after the 2 years, he absolutely deserves it.
So true. So true. We've also got Coach 23, great friend of the show. Shout out Manila. Absolutely. Rock and Roman might be transitional champs for Cody. But like what Josh said, it's difficult to put a story with Cody's reign now. Great point. And then he added, but since we're talking transitional champs, how about number 17 for John Cena? Ooh.
Wow.
Ooh.
I think he needs to break it instead of Charlotte.
I think it'd be interesting for sure. Anyway. David Modge added good guy. I don't know who he's talking about of the three of us, but I do appreciate the compliment for sure.
Probably all of us.
I think maybe Josh. I'd love it. Thank you, David, always for tuning in. And then we've got the Break It Down show with I don't think Gunther is a good option for any title yet. He doesn't bring much to the table when it comes to storytelling. So holding on to the prize position might kill the momentum of the title. If it's just about wrestling. Ooh, I kind of hear that, but at the same time, he's such a great in-ring storyteller, and the partnership still with Ludwig, even though they got rid of Vinci just recently, the partnership with Ludwig allows them to tell a few more stories. I thought that triple threat match at 39, I get that that's over a year ago now, but between him and McIntyre and Sheamus was a well-told story, and Gunther was a huge part of that. In overcoming him and Imperium and all of that was a big deal, and I thought they did a good job there, but I do, in a way, I hear where you're coming from. While I slightly disagree, I can understand how you get to that point for sure. Harish over on Instagram, Harish Regiondrun 7524 added, I think the final boss is going to dethrone Cody Rhodes. So that's The Rock. That's another one. And then Sick Vicious added, with Triple H dropping that Lesnar is still part of WWE, could we see Cody versus Lesnar part 3 when the civil suit is done? Gosh, I don't think so. No. And then Jamie's 2001 added Randy Orton once again, which I would have no issue with Randy Orton.
I'd be shocked if Randy.
I see him as a challenger. I don't see him as the guy who defeats Cody. I think we run that program, but I don't see.
You have to.
I don't see him being the one that actually dethrones Cody. But
I think it'd be a case of Cody Rhodes is hurt.
Yes.
And you got to get the title off of him.
Yes. And then last,
I don't want to ever say that is what could come. We saw that whiff on SmackDown, and I don't want to see AJ Styles dethrone him. I would for the shock value, but like that would mean they did whatever the 3 months of build for WrestleMania, and it kind of gets cut short for this new era defining reign that would be cut short to an injury. I don't want to see it happen in that way, but if things happen that way, things do.
I agree with you on that. David Modge also added, Gunther's my fave for the King of the Ring. I wouldn't mind that at all. And then he said AJ Styles. I think it's too soon for AJ to win this one. I think it is. That's just
very much be a last hurrah.
And then Jamie's 2001 added that Randy Orton does deserve another title reign over on Instagram. Yes, I do agree with that. I just don't think he's the guy to take it off Cody. But speaking of Cody, let's stay on the Cody topic. And let me ask you, Coby, not Cody. Let's not get confused because that could be a tongue twister. They're just two different letters. You just flip them too. Lowercase, it's basically the same thing. But anyway, Coby, I have to ask you, does the Universal title fit Cody Rhodes' story?
I mean, we're talking about the story and we're already like, are you already advocating and trying to say that the story hasn't been finished? It's been finished. You guys brought this upon yourself. If you're the Cody crybabies, made Cody Rhodes finish his story at this WrestleMania. And I don't necessarily, I'm not complaining. I'm not saying this, but if you're going to sit here and try to claim Cody's story isn't finished, I'm going to laugh in your face. If the Universal title is what was attached to the belt because of the historical reign, you were never going to merge or unify any title and not acknowledge the Universal Championship, because that's what the 13-16 day reign of Roman Reigns is attached to. Because it's the WWE Championship now, that is what's finishing the story. Dusty Rhodes never held the WWE Championship. Cody Rhodes wanted to be the first Rhodes to win said belt, and he did. I don't know how else to explain it. The story's been finished, and now I have no idea where Cody Rhodes goes. And this is the anti-Cody Rhodes show. No, I'm not. It's not the anti-Cody Rhodes show right now. It's just I don't know what's next for him, and you got to keep me invested. I'll say it again. There's a reason why we're not worried about Sami Zayn, because he's already back he's already back into the climbing position, because now he has a monster in Bronson Reed. Now he's the underdog against someone named Chad Gable. Cody Rhodes needs to be an underdog to stay over, to stay interesting, and I don't see that being true anytime soon.
I could not agree with you more.
That's the trouble here.
And it's really funny because I think a lot of people got confused. I like to joke about the Cody Rhodes thing because it really took off the few times I kind of criticized him. I think it's funny making fun of the tie clips and whatnot. It's a bit of an inside joke at the end of the day, but I actually did want him to finish the story and am a Rhodes family fan in general, right? I'm a lifelong wrestling fan. How could you truly dislike the Rhodes? Like, come on. Right? Like, it's tongue in cheek. It's mostly sarcasm. Now, when I was talking about the potential for as soon as the story's over, then what? That I was very serious about. And that is a legitimate issue. And it's funny because whatever, I'll take some heat from it from time to time. But in 6 months, if we're all complaining about Cody Rhodes as a babyface champion with no challengers, then what? Right? And that is a possibility. I'm not saying it's a probability, but it is a possibility. And it's something to factor in. It matters to creative at the very least. I'm not the only one thinking about that, right? And that isn't me being critical of Cody Rhodes in any way.
No.
In any way. No. I'm not.
No,
but yeah, he finished his story, and so now what is right? And I said it numerous times on this show. As soon as he finishes the story, this is the best active story in pro wrestling. It's gone. It's over. Because it's finished.
It's over. The
bloodline's
still more interesting.
So you got to have what's next. I think they've done a decent job so far. But yeah, go ahead, Josh.
I was going to say, I think maybe the reason that they planted The Rock and Cody so early, like literally the night after Mania, was just to keep people invested, having a sense that this match will eventually happen. Because I think the upcoming matches for Cody, will they be good matches? Sure, but like, even a Cody AJ Styles match doesn't keep me that excited, because I know Cody, or I'm 99% sure Cody's going to win. So I think that's going to be what a lot of this reign is. And that's why they planted those seeds early for Rock Cody. So then people somewhat still stay invested because they know that is still coming.
Know what's to come.
That's so true. That's a very, very good point. And that was, I think, one of the smartest things they did as far as that. Even though I thought that Rock segment was a little awkward, especially for having Rock and Cody, you'd assume that they'd blow us out of the water. Not that it wasn't entertaining, but it was just odd. There was a few things in it that I was just like, ooh, what was the deal with that?
It was the first time this run that it was obvious The Rock is either very much scripted, because he keeps on going, Oh, no, I think what was the one? No smoking, not no smoke and mirrors. I think he was like, I'm not here to attack you. I'm not
Right.
here to beat you up. I'm here to respect. He said
Yes,
that like 4 times in that same promo.
Yeah.
he did.
And he said, and that's it. It became, I don't want to say it became a problem, but it was apparent. And this time it was okay. Now it's obvious.
For sure. For sure. We had also over on
the way he
Instagram.
recites his promos. Yeah.
Yeah. We had over on Instagram, TL.3118 added Cody can turn heel in the future too, but of course not now. I agree with that. Yeah, he can. I don't think he wants to, though. That's the other thing, right? He's got to be willing to do so. I think he'd be great as a heel. I think it'd be just awesome, especially after all of this. I just don't see it anytime soon. I mean,
I think this was the big thing. Just shortly, this was the big thing. Like AEW people wanted him to turn heel. He didn't. If there's going to be a stage to turn heel, it's here. Not
100%. We've got a
not
bunch of comments really quickly to run through over on YouTube from 2 good friends of the show. Coach 23, after Cody finished his story at WMXL, after the emotion and adrenaline is worn off, my question is, what now for Cody? Yeah, we're in the same boat, 100%. David Modge added, Cody's going to do some things, but you never know with all these strong talents these days. Yes, true. And then Coach 23, especially since most of the heels at SmackDown brand are kind of mid, I kind of agree, other than Randy Orton, if he's a heel. But he's not right this second.
The best heel are the Bloodline and Logan Paul.
Yes.
Right now.
Yes. And then
I don't want to see Cody Rhodes versus 8-Town Down Under. That's
for
another
sure.
option.
For sure. And then David Modge, well, it's exciting to me now because AJ is stronger than Cody now. I don't know about that. I don't think AJ is quite there yet. And then Coach 23 said, and did Rock give Cody a broken or not broken Rolex watch? It's a very good question. David Modge still doesn't know what Rock gave Cody. I'm not sure either. And then the dude sold $1 million worth of merch at WrestleMania. He's not turning heel. I agree, although I will say Roman Reigns sold a heck of a lot of merch as a heel for the last 4 years. A heck of a lot of merch for a heel.
I think he meant like there's not a reason to turn him.
There's
heel
no
right
reason
now,
right this second to turn him
he's
heel. I completely agree. I completely agree.
Yeah.
Yes. Now with that, speaking of things I agree on, we've got to talk about our partners over at Next Level. If you guys haven't checked it out, please, it's free. It's so easy to do. Go to our Connect link. Go to nxconnect.me/Wrestling Republic. All of our content across all platforms, linked in one place. Tons of giveaways. We just gave away 2 copies of the WrestleMania edition of WWE 2K24. If you heard about the giveaway for WrestleMania weekend, night 2 tickets, Raw After Mania tickets, hotel, transportation to and from the venues, a tailgate with WWE superstar appearances. This was an all-time thing. And the best part about it, there's no gimmicks. This is absolutely free. Go sign up. And it's all linked in one place. Huge wrestling community. This is an awesome, awesome platform. Download the app. Go to the Connect link. Check us out. You guys will love it. And enter all the contests because you can win. Trust me. Anyone can win these things, basically, except for us. So that's all I'm saying about that. But shout out Next Level. And let's move on to our next question of the day. Also, I did forget earlier on the second question of the day, the username that submitted that question was user.di. And I apologize for that. Thank you so much for the question. That's my fault. We'll not make that mistake in the future because it was a fun question for sure. But we've had some AJ Styles comments from our friend David Modge, a few over on Instagram. Let's actually talk about AJ Styles. This is a question from @__ it's Syed __. I'm going to go to you, Josh. Styles defeating Taker at the Boneyard WrestleMania would have been too sweet, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Styles defeating
I guess
Taker
would have been too sweet.
Would have been
should
too
he have
sweet,
beat him?
Wouldn't it? Had Styles beaten Taker? So I guess let's rephrase the question slightly. If AJ, let's flip the result at the Boneyard match. What in the world do you think about that, Josh? I mean, this is kind of an interesting question.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been a good idea for Styles to beat Taker at WrestleMania 36 in the Boneyard match. For starters, the match was designed after The Undertaker and his character. Having him lose like in a graveyard setting where he pretty much like lives as the dead man, like would have made no sense. I think could the win have helped Styles of course, you're beating the Undertaker at WrestleMania, even though it was a little different because it was a a cinematic match, but still could it have helped? Yes. Did AJ Styles need it? No. I mean, I think he has enough accolades, even at that time, behind him to
Yeah.
carry his name on. I don't think he needed to defeat Taker in a cinematic match to elevate himself. I think he already was elevated. And a second off, like the point like that, like Taker wasn't on the card in 35. 34, he wrestled like a 2-minute match. In 33, he lost in the main event. So Undertaker, who is known for having a WrestleMania moment every single year, hadn't had a WrestleMania moment in over 4 years. And, obviously there were no fans in the stadium, but, they still gave him another timeless WrestleMania moment by defeating Styles in kind of his own match. And another point is like, to this day, um, you'll always see the meme of like AJ Styles behind on the tractor, and then Taker comes like from behind him with like
Right
that
behind
face. So that's just like such a classic meme. You're like, you'll see that even out of the wrestling community, which I think is so funny, and I love that meme. But just
It
like
tickles
moment
me.
like that, yeah. Even outside of the fact that it's a meme, like moments like that, like I think WrestleMania 36 obviously was in uh during the global pandemic, and that's a time when people need to smile. Drew McIntyre wins the belt. Undertaker definitely needed to win. They needed to create a moment. They needed to give people something to smile about, especially when everyone's stuck in their homes. So I think they
Yeah.
did that match exactly like they should have done it. I think it was important that the good guy won and that the Undertaker was able to create memorable moments. And I actually really enjoyed that match too. So yeah,
Totally. To be honest, I thought it stole the show for Mania as a whole, and
yeah,
I enjoyed. I mean,
It was the
given
greatest
given the
cinematic match
timing
ever.
of it, it's one of those Manias that it's really weird for me to think about. I don't know if I could ever go back and watch it again
yeah,
because in my heart it was so important. It was like we're all stuck, but wait a minute, we still get Mania despite the fact
right,
that we still get a Mania, and yeah, I rewatching it would be nearly impossible at this point. But at the time, it was so important. I don't think, and this is, I'm not trying to be hypercritical of this question in any way. I think things are very different if we're not under the circumstances where it's at the performance center in front of no fans and all of that. Maybe then there's an argument to be made for
yes,
potentially Styles going over. But with where we were at in a society at the time, on top of it being the Boneyard match in basically Undertaker's domain, kind of a
yeah,
combo of every Undertaker character of all time, basically, and what turned out to be very much his retirement match. I think there was only one result at the end of the day, given all of the circumstances surrounding it. And like you said, Josh, they made the right call. The right guy won this one. Undertaker
yeah,
won this one. But also, Coach 23, monster shout out with young Josh. Sounds like a seasoned vet with his takes. Yes, he does. Absolutely. Um, Abim Manu Singh Chapelwatt over on Instagram asked what we're talking about. It's Mailbag Monday, so somebody asked a question about whether AJ Styles should have beaten Undertaker. And then that's what we just answered, and we will be moving on to our next topic now. Even though we do have a bunch of comments on YouTube, thank you guys, but we got to keep going here. Sorry about that. We got a few more questions to get through. This is a fun one here. This is from C. Podlaskowski. I really hope I got that right. Podlaskowski. I apologize if I butchered that name, but thank you so much for the question. This is who is a bigger draw, Roman Reigns or CM Punk? This is a funky one because Roman Reigns is a huge draw, but CM Punk has the most unique CM Punk specific fan base, I think, of almost anyone in wrestling. Roman Reigns draws fans of wrestling. CM Punk draws fans of CM Punk. So this is a tougher question than I think some might realize on paper. Coby, you've reviewed matches from both the last few years. You know all about this. Who do you have when it comes to Punk or Reigns as the bigger draw? Or do you think it's almost too nuanced to pick?
I think if we're in the conversation of who has a bigger draw, and like you said, Roman Reigns draws wrestling fans, CM Punk draws CM Punk fans. He has a quote unquote cult based following. But if I'm looking at how they've been effective at in drawing for the company, we have I mean, 2011, we have the Summer of Punk. We can compare his at the time historic championship reign, and now we have Roman Reigns' era. I think we're in the position where CM Punk was not the top star in the WWE when he was having that historical reign. I can't sit here. Keep in mind, John Cena versus John Laurinaitis main evented a pay-per-view that CM Punk was the champion. Sure. I cannot. It's the weirdest thing to sit here and say, and it happened. CM Punk was not the top draw.
Johnny
He
Ace.
wasn't the top draw. He was not the top draw at the time because it was still John Cena. Roman Reigns is an era-defining star, especially for the last few years. He was still a top star from 2016 to 19 when he was super Roman Reigns and he was selling merch for the kids. Yes. He was still a bigger draw then.
The big dog.
He's still a bigger draw now. I cannot argue CM Punk. He was a bigger draw for AEW.
Yeah.
But now he's gone.
So
he was a very important star for that company, and now he's just a star in WWE. Roman Reigns sweeps the board.
I hear where you're coming from, but I also just find this conversation really fascinating. So let's stay on it for just a second here because we got some comments. Yeah. Coach 23 agrees. Totally agree. They have two different metrics. Yeah, that's the tough one. And then, of course, David Modge adds, that's tough. Yeah. And then Coach 23 added, we might find the answer for Punk when he returns on Raw this summer. So for me, this is where it gets funky. Roman Reigns has been a long-time draw, right? He was selling merch mostly for kids as the big dog, as you mentioned, Coby. And I think you broke that down right. I think if we're looking at total career as a draw, it's Roman Reigns. But Roman Reigns was at his most effective after an absence. CM Punk, I think as a draw, to your point about Cena was the top draw and Punk was the next guy back then, the length of that absence, the fact that people were begging for CM Punk makes this a more interesting conversation than it probably should be. Because there is, to your point, Coby, I'm not even trying to disagree with you in any way. I'm not saying I think it's CM Punk. I actually would give the slight nod to Reigns if you're asking me. But I can totally see the argument for Punk because it's so unique to wrestling. It's almost like the, when you have like a band that's going to be at the top of the charts, and then you have another band that may not chart, but they sell out every show because their fans only listen to them. Their fans are obsessed with just that band. They have just that hardcore, call it niche, call it whatever you want, but they fill buildings as if they're top chart toppers, and they're not necessarily that, but their fans believe they are and love them like that. That's how I kind of see CM Punk. And it's right. It's almost like comparing apples and oranges.
It's almost an apple store. It is. And I mean, the one thing I said is, or the one thing you said that does not bring suspicion, but you said that Roman Reigns is most effective after an absence. He had an absence before.
It's true. Multiple.
When he had leukemia.
Very true.
And he came back. True. He was over. He was a face, but he was still not the megastar Roman Reigns.
Right.
It took a heel turn to get him to this point. It did.
Okay, we have a random question over on Instagram. Just Harish Rajendran7524 asked, why is WWE not booking Karrion Kross properly? I don't know. I think that got biffed from the beginning. The Break It Down show over here on Twitch created CM Punk. Roman Reigns was forced upon us for many years until we were made to watch him week in and week out, no matter what. Reigns doesn't lace Punk's boots in a ring. Oh, or on the mic. Let's be honest. Reigns was the heel Hulk Hogan of this generation.
I don't think the difference in ring is that crazy.
I don't think it's that.
I don't think it's that crazy. I think maybe CM Punk could probably do more innovative spots, but no, they're both very good sellers. They're both storytelling geniuses. They both work safe, minus CM Punk getting multiple injuries. They both understand what they're doing in the ring. I can't sit here and say that for certain. I think maybe in a past time where CM Punk had to rely on more things and having harder hitting matches, more epic matches with Raven, with Samoa Joe, with Danielson and Ring of Honor, all that. That's when he was reliant on that ability. But even then, that is what it is.
Yes. So we've
I
also
think
got
they're
Coach
both equivalent.
23 here with simply put Roman Reigns draws as a heel is way too similar with a Hollywood Hogan circa NWO, but heels draw big. And then he also added, I remembered when CM Punk became a heel in 2012, he became really relevant and was seen as a draw and still a merch seller. That's true. He was almost a tweener heel in some ways, kind of a rogue heel in some, and I like that. Let's move on to our next topic though. This one is from Ollie Tart 9. And this is unpopular opinion. Both tag team champions should be changed right away. Josh, do you think both the tag team champions on the WWE were the wrong call, or do you think they got it right over at Mania?
Well, for starters, I don't think this is an unpopular opinion. I've definitely heard arguments online about both of, these guys losing the belts. But here's, I'll start with Raw and Awesome Truth. Yes, I agree. They should lose their belts. They had their WrestleMania moment. They had their pops. In terms of match quality and interest levels, for me, they're on the bottom of the totem pole. I think everybody wanted to see them climb the ladder, which they did, and they got the massive pop. I was there. It was deafening. It was really awesome to see R-Truth get his moment, The Miz get his moment. And they're an entertaining team, but not as much in the ring, and they don't need the belts to continue being entertaining. So I think it's time to take it off them. I feel like even New Catch Republic would do go with it. Legado del Fantasma, perhaps even maybe DIY. I'd rather see have the belts in them. And I guess a thought that came to mind when I thought about these Raw belts is we've been so used to long reigns like Gunther, Roman Reigns, so many long reigns recently in WWE. I wouldn't mind these Raw belts being used as like a let's defend this every week, and they change often. Like a belt that is maybe changing on Raw twice a month, maybe even every week. Like who knows? Like, I think it'd be exciting to see new champions every now and then because we're so used to these really long reigns. So I think that'd be fun to do on Raw. Now for SmackDown and 8 Down Under, in my opinion, don't give up on them yet. Waller and Theory, in my opinion, are exciting. I think, and I know a lot of people aren't fans, and I get that. I for sure am one of their fans because I think in ring they're good and they're also good on the mic. I think they're really entertaining and they're a good group that you can boo, and that's important. People like to boo people that suck.
On that note, Josh, speaking of heels, this is one of my favorite questions because we do have one more topic question-wise that was submitted from Mailbag to get to. This is one of my favorite comments we've gotten in a long time from the Breakdown show, and that is question: are heels more valuable to the company than face stars? Dang, that's a great question.
Oh, God.
Oh, that is really difficult to answer. I think it, not to cop out on an answer, but I genuinely think it's the level of the heel versus the level of the babyface. I think if you have a guy or a male or female, either division, if you have somebody that's over as a face or as a heel, they're over. It doesn't matter. And I think, though, the best way to create a great face is to first create a great heel. That's a theory that I've kind of noticed. If you look at like Shawn Michaels is my favorite wrestler of all time. That's the example I always give. He was a outstanding heel before we got the Boyhood Dream, which I think is the last time we had a story similar to Cody's where it was like, and Cody didn't take the same route, but where it was the Boyhood Dream, it was finish the story. It has to happen at Mania. He's overcoming all of this. He can't go 16 minutes with Bret Hart. That's all the way back to WrestleMania 12. I think that's the most similar case there. Shawn Michaels was a great heel well before he put Marty Jannetty's head right through that barbershop window. And I loved every second of that. That's one of my favorite moments in wrestling history. But then he quickly became a babyface after that. Let's get into our last topic of the day, though. Let's talk about who the first pick for each brand will be on tonight's draft. I'm going straight to you, Josh, and then to you, Coby. Josh, who do you have? Who's the first pick for SmackDown? Who's the first pick for Raw?
Yeah, so first pick of the night for Raw, I think it should be Drew McIntyre, top guy in the company, just resigned. I know there are some, concerns with his injuries. I think I saw he's not on house shows anymore, but it seems like if he's still on TV, he will be all right. So I think we'll likely see him go for that World Heavyweight Championship, of course, the one that Drew McIntyre cashed in. Oh, sorry, Damian Priest cashed in against him. So, and that's on Raw. So I think there's no doubt Drew's headed to Raw. I assume we'll also see Punk on Monday nights as well. But I can see Drew going first. And then for SmackDown, I think they should go Gunther. This is kind of correlated with my earlier take about him taking the belt off Cody, but he's a guy making his way from headlining the mid card to hopefully headlining the main event. And I can see him going for that Universal title. And I think we'll see him on Friday nights. I think he should definitely be in these top two picks if they want to keep pushing him. But that's my prediction. I'm going McIntyre for Raw and Gunther for SmackDown.
I like that. Two great picks. Coby, going to you next. Who are your picks? Who do you got? One of each.
One of each. So just to keep in mind, quick refresher. Obviously, different pools. Obviously, because it's on Raw picks first. So I got to go with Raw, and I got to go the opposite, Josh, because Drew McIntyre not being picked first and CM Punk being picked first is more fuel to the fire in this case. It's another way to tell this story of Drew McIntyre is mad at CM Punk, and CM Punk's going to be the first draft pick for Raw. It has to be. He's if we're talking about the biggest draw, he's the biggest draw in this pool. CM Punk's getting picked first. For SmackDown, I think the interesting one, I mean, it's not even interesting. I think it's going to be Kevin Owens. I think that's where they're going to go. I don't think Gunther's switching brands. If I'm going to critique what Josh said, I think it's going to be someone like Kevin Owens. They're pretty much pushing this RKO storyline and partnership. If they're going for A-Town Down Under later, maybe they will. But I don't see them switching, and I think it's going to be the case of it's another guy that's not going to switch the brand, but it makes sense to keep him where they're going because he's starting a feud with the Bloodline in that direction, and X, Y, and Z. I think it's going to be Kevin Owens.
I like the KO pick. I like the KO pick a lot. The Break It Down show added, I think CM Punk gets picked before McIntyre to enhance the storyline.
Exactly.
I hear that.
Exactly.
But I also hear where Josh is coming from on McIntyre. Coach 23, I love this. Even the picks, we were thinking the same guys and then clapping from Break It Down show. Yes, I can see either McIntyre or Punk. I slightly lean towards Punk, even with the injury, just because it would just bug Drew and it fits the story perfectly. SmackDown, I'm going to throw out a wild card. We picked all men. Jade Cargill to SmackDown in the first round to make a statement.
That was another option.
I think it's Jade, first round to SmackDown. That one adds up to me. You had Bianca go early in the draft, obviously first round.
She was first.
Yeah, first overall, the earliest you can go.
Yeah, she was the very first pick.
Number one overall.
Okay, I guess quick question. Would it make sense for her to be first then? Or and even like first, and we don't have champions being on the same brand, but then they can continue to say we are the top picks? Would you think Raw would pick Jade Cargill first? I think it would be a very bold move.
That would be bold as could be. Okay, by the way, this is a really funny comment from the Break It Down show. I think he's talking about Kevin Owens and Randy Orton tagging together, but I dig it. He goes, look out for the pop-up RKO similar to the 3D. That would be the sickest tag finisher. I'd be all over that. Are you kidding me?
They've hit it.
I know.
They were doing tag matches with A-Town Down Under in the build-up. And it was like every single week they were outdoing themselves for just unique ways to do it.
I could watch.
It was enjoyable. It was fun Orton to see.
Wrestle forever. Okay, Coach 23. I don't know if we asked your age, but I do love. He goes, I'm 41, by the way. Respect. I turned 33 in September. It's the best. And then David Modge added Jade could be a women's division juggernaut. I think she is. Just the look,
they will
charisma she has, whatever the it factor is, she has it in spades. She has it. and it's just a matter of time before she breaks through and is a top star. I would be shocked if we don't see her face on production trucks in the next calendar year.
Yeah.
If we haven't already, I would be stunned. That would blow me away. Coach 23 goes, if Josh is in his 20s, he might be my son. We have similar takes. Hey,
I'll take a DNA test.
Cross-generational agreement. I love it, Coach 23, for sure.
That's funny.
We've got all kinds of age groups on the same page.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, this has been such a blast of a show. The draft, I'm hoping tonight we see a little bit more funk than we did on Friday, because I do love drafts. I've said that before. Friday felt a little underwhelming as far as the picks were concerned.
Yeah.
But I think tonight we can right that wrong. We've also got 3 hours to do so. So that'll be interesting. But with that, guys, that does bring us, guys and gals, that brings us to the end of the show. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you haven't already liked and subscribed, it means the world to us. Ooh, wait, one more comment before I do my sign off. Break It Down show. WWE need Jordan Grace as well. Is she out of contract? Maybe she could be coming soon. Not a bad call. I'd love to see Jordan Grace in there.
Impact.
But that does actually finally bring us to the end of the show. Liked and subscribed, please do. It means the world. Tune in, same time, same place tomorrow. I promise we won't be 15 minutes late. I had a bit of an emergency myself, but we're all good. Tomorrow will be noon Pacific. That's 3 in the East. That's 8 o'clock in the UK. Of course, 9 a.m. in Hawaii. And I believe that's 4 a.m. in Manila. Coach 23 Monster shout out. David Modge, Break It Down show. Everybody that was in the comments, thank you so much. Except for that guy that said fire me. That was not nice. But Ben doesn't read those, so don't worry about it. I think I'm good. I will be back tomorrow. In fact, I'm hosting the show. So I'll see everybody in about 22 hours and 58 minutes. Have a great rest of your Monday, and we'll talk to you guys soon.